For decades, the mall was more than a place we shopped. It's where some of us worked, where we socialized with friends, spent time with family. It's where we made memories. Memories we still hold close. This platform is full of nostalgic mall content, very popular videos. Even more than video rental, the mall has remained a cultural touchstone for people of a certain age. Now, we've demystified the mall a lot on this channel, but today on the Videocast, we're going to be celebrating it by looking at the history of the mall in movies. We will be covering several iconic movies that took place in shopping malls or had prominent scenes around malls. We will also look at some of the malls featured, as well as their cultural importance or relevance. As always, I am your host Brian, and this video was made possible thanks to our patrons over at patreon.com/pixandportraits. Bunch of content over there, dozens of exclusive videos, as well as digital copies of my book, The Nostalgia Economy, which is all about collecting, retro collecting. Physical copies are available as well, so if you like what we do and want to see more, please consider supporting us. Before we dive in, I'd like to talk a little bit about what a lot of these movies have done and why it's important. Preservation. Many of these were shot on location, at real malls, on film. They look gorgeous. You can have photos, home videos, commercials even, all of which have their own unique aesthetic that can convey feelings, evoke memories, but these movies have crystallized malls in stunning detail. Physical retail has been in decline almost for multiple decades at this point, and some of these malls are no more. They're gone, demolished, abandoned. We are very lucky to have YouTube and all the archives, news clips, videos, but to see some of these malls rendered in this quality is pretty incredible. I also love that the further you go back, the less litigious brands get about their copyrights. Today, these would all be generic products or only corporate approved merchandise instead of what we are seeing here, what aisles actually look like. While they are of varying quality, these movies are all amazing, high budget windows into the past, showing what the mall was. Now, we are going to be bookended by two versions of the same movie, or idea, to Dawn of the Dead's 1978 and 2004. This will let us see the evolution of both filmmaking and the mall over about 3 decades when malls were at their peak, the 70s through the 2000s. Dawn of the Dead, 1978, George A. Romero's sequel to Night of the Living Dead. A group of people take shelter from the zombie apocalypse in a shopping mall. This movie really solidified zombies in pop culture. It has inspired a lot, from video games to books to other movies. There was a zombie craze in the 2000s, very influential movie. Night of the Living Dead came first, but this is way more beloved, and I think part of that has to do with the setting, a mall. It's an interesting idea to set a horror movie in a mall, especially one based on survival because of all the different stores and environments, possibilities. The movie makes use of all the different departments in a department store, JCPenney. It uses different stores as backdrops for scenes, tying in with liminality, that otherness feeling, the emptiness of hallways, the absence of people. So it is a great setting for horror. So much so, we will be seeing it again. Like with Night of the Living Dead, there is some social criticism here, consumerism, mindless zombies operating on instinct, heading in droves towards the mall. Buy, consume, buy some more. Aesthetically, lots of greens and browns, some great shots of the mall's interior. This was shot at Monroeville Mall, east of Pittsburgh. Malls served as community centers, especially in the suburbs, and Monroe Mall really had it all, including a skating rink that was actually used in Flashdance. I found this commercial, which looks like it's from around the time the mall opened in 1969. No real shots of the mall, but it does highlight one of its distinct features, the Gimbel's Court Clock Tower, which can be seen throughout Dawn of the Dead. I also found a news report from the 90s, Christmas Eve. Dawn of the Dead was partially filmed during the Christmas season, which created a lot of issues, given that it's the busiest shopping time of the year. They eventually had to stop filming until January, but this news clip offers a great look at the mall during a different period. The mall has obviously been renovated a few times since 1978. It is still open, but was sold to Walmart in January 2025, and future plans for the mall aren't really known at this time. Up next, we have an iconic scene from the Blues Brothers' 1980, a car chase. Great shots of the exterior of the mall, Dixie Square Mall in Harvey, Illinois, before we go into the mall, literally. Some pretty amazing stunt work here, which cannot be said about all of the director's movies, but let's keep it light here. A bunch of recognizable stores, Toys R Us being the biggest, which was actually added for the movie, a JCPenney, Pier 1, Jewel, which was a regional supermarket in the Chicago area. This is so good. Looking into the history of the mall, it was able to be destroyed as badly as it was because it was closed. It closed 2 years earlier, just didn't have the business. High crime, economically depressed area. Quite a few tragedies took place there as well, and so it closed. But rather than be redeveloped, it was just abandoned. Apparently, the film crew left it damaged. There was a lawsuit, another director hallmark, lots of darkness around this mall, apparently, but that's what made it a very popular spot for urban exploring. There are a bunch of dead mall videos shot there. The footage you are seeing here is from 2015. The same channel, just called Dixie Square, also has this video with archival clips and photos showing the mall in better times. The two movies we've looked at so far really haven't properly showcased what the mall was to people. The mall was a very important place to kids, teenagers, and youth culture. In some towns, it was the only place for them to hang out. Malls usually had movie theaters, popular date spot. They are full of service jobs that were traditionally filled by teens, restaurants, the food court, sales, cashiers. Kids hung out at malls. This is captured no better than in Amy Heckerling's Fast Times at Ridgemont High from 1982. I love this movie. It's a pretty honest depiction of what it is like to be young. Aesthetically very rooted in the 80s, but experiences every generation goes through. Many scenes take place at the mall, a very brown mall. Some younger people think the 80s were all bright and neon. They weren't, they were muted brown. We see the food court, an arcade, various shops in the background, a record store, licorice pizza, movie theater. The mall that was used in Fast Times was Sherman Oaks Galleria, which has been used in a lot of movies, being so close to Los Angeles, including Valley Girl, starring Nick Cage, who had a cameo in Fast Times, T2, apparently, Back to the Future 2, Commando, some lesser-known movies as well, like Phantom of the Mall, Eric's Revenge, and Chopping Mall. I said earlier we'd be talking about another horror movie, and this is the one that's become a lot more popular over the last decade or so. It's basically Fast Times meets RoboCop. State-of-the-art security robots turn evil and target a bunch of teenagers stuck in a mall. Bit of a silly premise, but the vibes are off the charts. Lots of great scenes showcasing the mall and its unique design. We see the same stores and views that we saw in Fast Times. Incredibly 80s. Very much recommend this. You can actually watch the whole thing for free on YouTube. Definitely check it out if you've never seen it. Moving into the 1990s, we have Kevin Smith's Mallrats. This takes the idea of kids that hang out at malls and basically makes a movie around it. As a teenager, I loved this movie. Very formative for me. Mallrats takes place at Easter. It's an Easter movie. There are plenty of movies with mall Santas. This one has a mall Easter bunny. I've said it a few times, but malls were community centers. Events would take place there, like concerts and fashion shows. Mallrats features a game show, taping in its atrium, a dating game ripoff. I love how it includes a flea market or dirt mall. Definitely something that is underrepresented in movies. I spend a lot of time in them. It's a big part of what my book is about, so it's great to see it here. The stores in the mall are not licensed. These aren't real stores. They're all given new names. The mall was in Minnesota. It is the Eden Prairie Center, which I did track down some great photos of. These are from around the time the movie was filmed, and they offer a great look into the mall. I love all the flourishes here, the structures and decor. Very cool. We're going to be wrapping up today with Dawn of the Dead, Zack Snyder, 2004. Follows the same premise as the 1978 version. A group of strangers take refuge in a mall, zombies attack. This was shot near my hometown of Toronto at the Thornhill Shopping Centre. The Root Store is a dead giveaway. It's been renamed the Crossroads Mall here, and aesthetically we see an immediate difference between this and the Monroeville Mall. This film came out right before online shopping really blew up, the retail apocalypse, when I was a teenager, and definitely captures what malls were like, or what they felt like. Interior design had changed a lot. It's a lot more metallic, marble tiles, what malls look like before they really started dying off. If you are looking for more on that, we've covered a lot of dead retail or dying retail on this channel. Now, this video was not meant to be exhaustive. I'm sure there was a ton that I missed, so let me know what your favorite mall movie is. Leave a comment, give us a thumbs up, subscribe, share, and again, if you had the means, please consider supporting us. Patreon, YouTube membership, super thanks, buy a book, it all helps. As always, thank you so much for your interest in this channel, and thanks for watching. See you in the future.